Thanks for coming out and watching the oxymoronic Reddit Professional Show, where I showcase the best and worst of the internet. Here I comment on brilliant and hilarious comment chains regarding dumb shit on the internet for you to enjoy. Make sure to subscribe, hit the little bell button so that you get notifications every time we come up with a new video. Enjoy this week's show.
In most cases, it will cost your employer far more to replace you than it would to give you a raise. So ask firmly. On the other hand, some employers use turnover as an opportunity to reset the salary downwards. If an employee with 5 to 7 years on the job leaves, they'll replace him/her with a new hire with 2 years experience at 2/3 the salary. Other employees will suck up some of the job duties, or have a chance to progress. Know your market and your employer's culture. This just happened at my job recently. They hired some new blood at a cheaper pay right out of college than the guy who's been here for 15 years, then they let him go. Then a week later the new guy had his job. It's a shame, really. I honestly don't understand how anyone can think that the new person is worth as much as the person with 15 years experience. I'm a manager of up to 12 frontline employees. On the latest scorecard, 2 of my first-year technicians did better than 2/3 of my technicians that have 10+ years experience. I took over this crew a year ago. My new guys are hungry and strive to improve and impress. 2 of my 3 tenured guys won't accept coaching without extreme pushback because they're experienced and know what they're doing. Tenure doesn't automatically equate to profitable and worthwhile. This also assumes you are a good employee and an asset to the company who they want to retain. Think hard about whether you are or not, because if you aren't, then don't be too firm and brazen during the negotiations. Seriously, I have one employee who I trust explicitly because she's proven herself capable. The others not so much. People also need to understand what the industry standards are for their job. I just took over a department and have 2 employees who are overpaid by easily 30%, 40%. If either of them leave, I can pay the new person higher than normal to get great talent and still save a ton of money. If either of them asked for a raise, I might actually laugh in their face. Is there any definitive way from an IC point of view to see where you are on the scale? I'm a high-performing, efficient, dedicated, loyal employee at a great company, but I've literally never negotiated anything ever. I feel taken care of, but I also feel like my peers are getting a better deal, when I feel like sometimes I pull way more weight and expertise than them. I don't even know how to begin the conversation. So I'm sure someone else can tell you better information about negotiation, but I think some good advice is highlight your value and impact, especially if it's increasing, preferably with numbers and hard evidence. I increased X to Y. Such and such's team satisfaction went up by Z. That kind of thing. Also, forget about loyal. Your employer isn't loyal to you, don't be loyal to them. To the extent you shouldn't lie, sell secrets, or sabotage, it makes sense. But this is your living we are talking about. You are selling a product. Make sure you are charging what you can get. Also, if you aren't making your issues known, then it's your fault. If you've never said, "I want more money," then how would your employer know? It seems obvious, but it isn't. If you are perfectly happy being paid what you are, an employer isn't going to benevolently offer you a raise. Fair warning, my wife was being severely underpaid for her sector and expertise, and after repeatedly making a well-documented case for why she should get a healthy raise, she was basically pushed out of her old position. They knew how valuable she was. She was 10 times more productive and 5 times better than the next best person they had, but something about either the management or the payroll/finance/HR just refused to compensate her appropriately. On the other hand, she immediately got a job at twice the salary, twice the bonus, much more recognition, and a company culture she likes infinitely better. Your mileage may vary. Being insistent is kind of a crapshoot, so hope for the best, but do be prepared for the worst. Realistically, the only surefire way to keep your compensation in line with market is to change jobs every few years, since most employers will not keep you flush because they know that most people will take a 5 to 10% or more discount to avoid the hassle of changing jobs. Everyone would be better off if employers just paid existing employees market rate for their position, but since no single person owns the costs associated with turnover, it incentivizes employers to make suboptimal decisions regarding compensation. For many/most skilled positions, it can take months for a new hire to get up to full productivity, so the hidden costs for employers when you have turnover are actually probably understated. If I make $100K and market is $115K, you're better off just paying me market, because if I leave, then not only do you have to pay my replacement market rate, or close to it, but you also have to pay someone for 6 months of labor when their productivity is only, say, 50% of the tenured employee that left. So your costs would be an extra $15K per year to keep me, or $10-15K per year plus $30-40K in turnover costs, HR/recruitment costs, lost productivity. Speaking as a budget holder. Market rate and training costs for a new employee are standard costs. Easily explainable, no one could challenge those. But approving a salary increase above cost of living increases / standard progression rates is flagged at an exec level. They see a 10% salary increase for one employee and extrapolate that to the whole group. TLDR. Often approving a raise sticks a manager's neck out in a way that replacing someone doesn't. Another solid alternative insight. Thanks for that. Not only this, but also managers who are too frivolous with the company's profits can be replaced as well, which disincentives the management from giving raises out what is seen as the shareholders' pockets. This is very true. These decisions aren't made for the good of the company, they're made just like any other decision a human, your manager, makes. What will benefit me the most with the least risk? I've been in the position where employees ask me for raises. It inevitably leads to an uncomfortable conversation with upper management where I'm trading in my political capital to get them the raise, and half the time the employee won't even say thank you because they feel they deserved it in the first place. Hiring a replacement is easy, comfortable, and risk-free. Yeah, the company will suffer a little, but it's used to it, and at least I stay out of management crosshairs. Here's what scares me. It seems like asking for a raise is such a taboo topic and such a headache. Is it better to just switch jobs when you can't keep up with your current salary? Forbes had an article a few years ago that said that people who switch jobs every 2 years made 50% more than colleagues who stayed put. In my experience, switching jobs / companies every 2-3 years is the only way to really get ahead. That seems to be fairly typical in my industry as well. Most companies I've worked for have a 2-year turnaround time. The cost of giving you a raise might be worth it, but the cost of potentially adjusting the salary of everyone you work with or adjusting the long-term department budgets might not be worth it. Especially when they can just give your work to someone else and distribute your load across several people, or just dump it all on someone else. I once worked at a well-known market research firm. I presented my own company's research around the cost of losing employees, loss of IP, downtime, training time, opportunity cost, morale impact, etc., to my boss after a raise request was denied when I was getting a promotion. They basically shrugged their shoulders, said, "It's a great opportunity that will really set you up down the road, and 5 other people want it if you don't. You want the job, or not?" I took it and left the second I learned enough to get a 50% raise elsewhere. And they knew it was going to happen, but they got the 18 months out of me that they knew I'd put in. Yup. It cost my former employer over $130,000 a year to replace me, and I was only making $45,000 a year. I was doing 3 jobs and I asked for a raise because I was taking on so much work. My boss said, "No one asked you to do the work," and I said, "Okay, 2 weeks from now I'll be elsewhere." My boss begged for me to stay and I already moved on mentally. Found out they posted the 3 positions I was doing individually and offered over $45,000 each position, which already the new person was going to make more than me, and on top of that I found out through old coworkers, each one couldn't fill my shoes, and lost the company a ton of money. Keep in mind I already set up all the framework to succeed, I did all the hard work, and they still failed. Boss ended up resigning shortly after, the office manager also quit because of the new workload because of my absence, and the sinking ship feeling everyone was getting. All I wanted was $1 more an hour. Love it. Worked 6+ years at the same place, 5 years from junior programmer to basically doing anything they needed. Got bored day by day until I started almost hating the job, mostly because of very low salary for the market, minimal pay raises over time, an unimpressive office, detrimentally low-end computer, crummy chair, crowded office. But hey, I learned the practice, paid my dues, whatever. Switch jobs for 100% raise, remote work anytime I want, modern work laptop, 3 monitors, modern office, 3x closer to home, future career path. Yeah, to sum it up, don't ask firmly if it's not worth it. More money won't really make your life better if the job is not fulfilling, but it sure f***ing helps if you don't have to ride a bus to work. Now I've made it a rule to at least go to a couple of interviews after 1 year, see what's up elsewhere. If something sticks, I can see if my current job is willing to keep me without money being an issue. If talking about salary is like pulling teeth at your employer, the best strategy is to walk in with an offer in hand. Consider the fact that, if you are being underpaid, it should be relatively easy to find a job which pays more competitively. So, send the resume out, get that offer in writing, and be prepared to turn in your 2 weeks' notice and move on with your career. Then, at that point, when you've got nothing to lose, but they do, approach your employer and discuss salary. I was asked for a raise because I raised my hand, so to speak, and offered to absorb someone else's job into mine as I was partially doing it anyways and could learn the rest easily. Even this move recommended by the person leaving. I was offered a lowball offer of $8K per year on my salary, $4K upfront and $4K after 6 months. I told one of the owners that it wasn't enough, politely, then sent an email to them both very carefully yet clearly structured and worded explaining why I thought the position required more compensation. I was denied. They explained why. I thanked them for the consideration and then focused on my education while I worked there. They ended up hiring 4 people to do that job at $10 per hour. 2 are left now. Which makes me chuckle because with insurance costs, training time, and salaries they still would have saved money if they had agreed to give me what I asked for, or even negotiated it down a little with incentives or something. LOL. And behold, one day one owner comes in, asks what I am making per year, then proceeds to tell me they are giving me a 35% pay increase, 4K per year, and added 2 new roles to my job description. I've busted my tail on both on top of managing the DC I was already doing, and the partial job I was doing that originally I wanted to absorb into my position. Granted, I rarely do it anymore. I'm more of an emergency backup for the 2 people left if they need help. Needless to say, this year I put my word it with my direct superiors in 2 different departments. It's a complicated structure now with what I do, LOL, to get me a recommendation for another bump in pay, as well as recommending a crew member who really stepped up and I feel earned a pay increase even though he's only been here for 6 months. Reviews are once per year this month. We'll see what happens. But I have my old resume at home and was looking it over, and if I don't get a respectable bump in pay, I will be looking elsewhere for my raise. February will be 11 years with this company, worked my up from the bottom as a temporary, and I really do like and respect the owners and their company. Been to the gym with one a few times, but at some point I need to put that aside and work for myself and my family, and with the way the rent/housing and general cost of living is going in this market, I need fair compensation in order to live comfortably and not be living paycheck to paycheck because I can barely afford rent. What I make now was a comfortable living salary a decade ago before I got this gig. It's not anymore.
If you enjoyed this week's effective way to waste time, hit that like button and subscribe for more content like this. If you are enjoying the series, leave me a comment below. A special shout out to the content creators. You frickin' rock.